Bring a Trailer podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bring a Trailer podcast. Alex Porter here, director of auction production for Bring a Trailer. I'm here also with Randy Nonnenberg, co-founder and leader of the pack, captain of the ship, and also Zach Beatty, our director of auction strategy. How are you, gentlemen?
Good. Thanks for having us back.
Fantastic.
Alex.
Good to be here.
All right, great. So today we're going to try something a little different. We're going to try a game open on what to call it. I originally called it the Dream Garage game, but maybe it's the 5-car garage game. We're going to go around. The three of us have selected a year model, single year model.
It's too practical for a dream garage.
Yeah, and also, like, if we do the rules the way I want, it might not be your dream garage, right? It might just be the best 5 cars.
It's not my dream garage at all. It's that year.
Right, dream garage for that year. Well, that's a kind of one of the interesting questions. So the idea is we go around, each of us have 5 picks. We have 5 categories of vehicles. We each pick one car from each of those categories. I'll go over them in just a minute. And then we kind of compare garages. But one of the questions is, as we're thinking about this, so I don't think it's a spoiler, the year that we've chosen for this first one is 1967.
67. My dad says that's the best year, single year of cars being made of all time.
Does he really?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Man, I'm crushed we don't have him on the podcast.
I know.
Oh, we could have him here. I
Alan
can text him and get 67.
Is his
first ever car was 1967.
The MG?
He was 20 years old. And so, yeah, he bought a brand new MGB GT.
MGB GT, okay.
British Racing Green.
That's a potential candidate for one of your dream garages. Will that be in Randy's dream garage?
On my list.
That's exactly right. So
it's not dream garage though, dude. It's category. It's winner. It's like watching the Olympics. It's like the best 100 freestyle in 1967. It's like we're picking that doesn't mean MGB GT may not be my dream car, but it could be the best car that year, right? Like we gotta laser focus this. What are we defining?
Yeah, okay. So that's a great question. For me, I was thinking of it as what are the cars you would most want from 1967? But it could be greatest cars. There could be overlap. What do you think, Randy?
Well, I've got my list. I think people want to hear us dive in and start.
Mine's personal preference, and I picked solely based on results on the site.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I was going to ask you about that too. So a couple of things before we dive in. One, so this is a great way to highlight BAT and also searching BAT. I was looking it up. We have 13 live cars right now from 1967, and we've listed over 3,300 cars from 1967. So that's a good enough database right there.
1,300. I like that.
3,300.
Sorry, 3,300.
Yeah. Do we have to stick only to BAT cars? That could be one of the rules.
No.
Okay.
This is, well, I mean, you could pick your favorite lot number off BAT and people could go look at it, but I've got cars just based on what 67 is seared in my mind.
I think that's smart. You could also get more creative with wildcard that way because we haven't listed a ton of weird stuff from 67.
Most popular movies in 1967.
Oh, tell.
The Dirty Dozen.
Ooh, good one.
The Graduate. That may foreshadow some selections.
I was going to say there's some car stuff there.
Cool Hand Luke.
What's The Graduate 67?
Graduate was 67,
Man,
dude. Berkeley, that's your town. That's your town, dude. Didn't they close the Bay Bridge and then drive across the wrong way because they wanted the city in the background, but they wanted upper deck?
Oh, that's interesting.
So the only way to do that and get the shot was to close it and drive the Graduate the wrong way on that. Or was that another movie?
It's got the tunnel the wrong way on 101, right? When you're about to pop out in Gaviota, north of Santa Barbara, he drives the Alfa through that tunnel.
Yes, he does.
And he's going the wrong way, I think, when he's doing that.
That's interesting. I thought it was always the bridge.
Right. You know that tunnel?
The wrong way.
Right before the 101 after Solvang, right before it pops out on the ocean there.
Man, it's been so
Lompoc.
long.
This is Lompoc.
Yeah, Gaviota is the name of that little
the beach,
town.
but Lompoc's right there, right?
Shout out Patrick.
Totally.
Okay, so not sticking to BAT, we're going by year only. There's a whole bunch of other ways you could do this, but that's how we're going to start it. Is it in period? Does the car have to be stock? Is it like you would be buying this in 1967 or...
I think we just got to go. You just got to say category. We got to go.
One other thing I will
Randy
say,
wants to get going.
My selection was biased where there were some great cars in 67 that debuted earlier. And I felt like we may do this again with different years. So I actually
Doesn't have to be a debut year though. So you'd pick it for 66. Like a BGT technically came out in 66, right?
Sure.
So, but do you pick it as a 67? I say if that's your favorite car that was in the category that year.
I don't want to blow up your spot, Alex, but I didn't put the Mirror on this list because I thought I might actually use that for a year or two earlier.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Okay. That's very interesting.
That's a good point. Well, you may never get you may never draw the card of 66, right? I mean, that may be 40 games later. So we may be waiting a few weeks.
Right. That's the other
100
thing.
of these podcasts to do at a minimum.
Yeah, well, we're doing them all
minimum.
today. So let's go.
Okay. All right. Randy is like, you're not blowing up my spot. It's
I'm going to
Randall.
forget my
He's
cards.
like ready to go. Okay. Well, I took notes because I'm prepared.
1903, we all just have 5 Oldsmobile curve dashes.
Curve dash.
My family hauler is a curve dash. Okay.
It's also my sports car.
Categories. These also like leave a little bit of openness, but here's the 5 that we have. We have sports car, right? So there's some openness to interpretation there. We can talk about these as we go through them. Family hauler, so sedan, station wagon, something you can haul your family in. Truck and 4x4 is the third category. A daily, which I also threw out there, could be something semi-affordable. We haven't talked about prices yet. And then a wild card, which could be a motorcycle. It could be a race car. It could be something you didn't get on one of the other categories, just something you really want. I threw out airplanes. There's an interesting airplane that came out in 1967. So those are the 5 categories. I think the way we do it is we go around, we take turns. If you take one that somebody else wants, that's gone. That's off the table. So there's a little bit of a challenge there. And then I think the other kind of important piece is as we kind of go through each category, we're flesh it out a little bit, right? Like we can talk about it before we dive into it. And I don't think there needs to be a specific order. So if you need your truck, get your truck first is kind of how I was thinking about it, right? If you're worried Zach's going to steal your whatever. Sound good?
I'm good.
Let's do it.
All right. I think Randy, who's super anxious and leaning back in his chair, should go first. And then Zach, you go second. And since I've been thinking about this most, I'll go last. And we'll just go around the table, round robin.
Not each category, though? We're not doing each category, so we can go head to head? Okay, I can
I think because I think you want to lock in your ones. You see if wild card till the end.
Okay, well, hit me with a category and I'll give you an answer.
No, you pick the category. Pick whatever car you want the most.
Randy, you're starting with trucks. Come on.
Yeah.
Resident truck expert.
What's the thing you want the
I know
most?
you've got a good one on there.
Okay. I don't know. It's not even what I want the most. It's icon. We've talked about, we've been talking too long here. People are like, get to your cars. But I'm like, FJ55 was introduced 1967. Toyota, weird, ugly, hauls the kids. I know a dude whose dad was a Toyota dealer in Colorado and Utah. They have pictures on all the walls of their family cruising around late 60s, early 70s in an FJ55. And I think that is hugely enviable. And that is my choice for the 4x4 category.
Not family hauler. See, it could fit in more than one.
No.
Yeah, okay.
There's other ways to haul the fam too.
Okay.
But that's truck.
I'm going to write these down as we're going. So we've got the
Do
list.
it.
Two-tone. They're always two-tone. They're always rusty now.
Two-tone. I'm open to many color schemes, but blue and white's iconic. Red and white's iconic. Gray and white's iconic. Brown and white. It's all awesome. If they're a single color, though, they get the thumbs down from me.
Oh, interesting. Got to be two-tone.
I went down a rabbit trail not long ago of every car I buy from here on out should be two-tone.
Oh, I really like that.
Which is interesting. You can get a lot of cool cars that are multicolor, but it knocks out pretty much most cars that you guys like. NSX counts with the black roof, Zach.
Yeah. I guess your Rivian does too.
Rivian counts. A lot of
W111 Coupe. It's an option for this year.
Nomad.
If anybody wants a
Nomad counts, right? I mean, so many things. Anyway, so that's a
great pick.
That's my truck starter.
Wasn't even on my list. That's a really good
interesting.
one.
I'm kind of surprised because if I recall early days, you had some strong words to say against the FJ55.
I did, and I still do. It's like a pendulum. If we play this game tomorrow, it's last. It's last place.
Just right now, you're feeling
today. It's first place. Sometimes you just got to pull the lever.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I'm buyer in that market.
There's
right
no
now.
real spec on them, right? It's the engine, gearbox, the same, and all of them.
They're
So it's
all
really
the
just
same.
color.
Every one of them was the same. Maybe you could get AC on the later ones, and you could get some weird stuff overseas. But no, I just want a US FJ55.
Great pick. Really good. Strong start. Randy coming out of the gate hot. Zach, where are you going first?
I was looking more through the lens of less of not necessarily automotive icons, but things I would just want to own in 1967 and what my garage would look like.
Totally.
So I landed on, this is my plan A. I had a plan B as well.
Smart.
This 1967 International Harvester 1200B Travelette pickup.
Wow,
Quad cab,
interesting.
4x4. Anthony Serra just sold this 3 months ago now in May. Super tidy.
Okay, that's very strong.
Oh, man, that's
strong.
really
Give the lot
good.
number. Give the lot number so people playing at home can take a look. But that's a huge win.
Yes, lot number.
No, it's right there in the essentials, dude.
The essentials is so long on this truck.
What's the cab called? What's the big long cab called on those?
I don't know. I don't
read
know
it off. It's in the title. Yeah. That means it's
Travelette the four door.
That's
okay.
Travelette's the four
So
door.
it's lot 106,505.
106,505.
106,505.
I'm sure Ben
What did it sell for?
So this one sold for 56 grand.
That's a lot of money, but that
Yeah.
thing was sweet.
Adjusted for inflation, this is probably a good long-term hold, honestly. But 67, you could haul the fam in this 4x4. You can do some stuff.
You making it your truck pick or your family hauler pick?
This is my truck pick.
Truck pick.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys both did your 4x4s up front. This was like my weakest category. That's a fantastic pick.
There's
Zach.
so many 67s though, dude. I mean, you can say whatever you want. There's no wrong answer.
Okay. Here's a question.
What's
This
what's
was
your
on my
answer?
list. I'll do my truck 4x4 too, but does this even count? Would a
What'd you
Type
pick?
2 transporter pickup truck count as a truck 4x4?
If it has a
It's
bed,
not-
it's a drop side bed.
It's a little bit of a
It
cheat.
counts.
You think that counts?
Well,
that
it's not
counts.
4x4. It's a,
No, I meant truck/4. So a truck, or you could have a 2-wheel drive truck as this
I see.
category.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
okay.
yeah,
I
I'm
was
good with
going
that.
into
I was looking at some
four-wheel
Toyota
drive.
Stouts.
I actually, that's kind of my backup pick. My number one is actually very similar to yours, Zach. So that's a fantastic pick. I would like a Power Wagon.
Yeah.
I would like a Dodge Power Wagon.
So by 67, they started getting closer to making different, more civilian models.
Correct.
Or are you talking like the last
No, this is still the big,
the last
yes.
gasp of the early
Correct. It's still the
WCs or
big
whatever.
guy,
Yeah, yeah.
4x4
The ones
only.
that date back to the 40s.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And I like also the
30s.
crew cab because it has a funky crew cab like that. The one where the front window doesn't match the back window. You know, they're weird looking. The 4-door one.
You got to pull one up because I don't know.
First
I
year
don't know
of-
that they actually made a quad cab of those ones, but then all these like expensive restore resto mod bros have been making quad cabs and we've been selling them.
Oh, interesting.
But did Dodge actually make a quad on
I mean, we
those?
have quite a few. So I was like, look at
Show
this.
me,
and this
show
one-
me what qualifies. Okay, that's the later body. That is the later body. So that's the other one is like external.
Oh,
fenders.
You talking
and
these,
like
Alex?
really,
Yes,
yeah.
I have that
He
exact
pulled up
same
that
listing.
same truck.
These are hilarious.
I love those.
You guys are hilarious. These are like the only trucks you guys were picking were like only sold to the Department of Forestry,
I also like Gladiator Jeeps.
Yes. Yes. which I'm okay with. Okay, fantastic. You guys are picking trucks that are only for U.S. government service.
I'm
Love it.
honing in on the utility side of things.
I love the
Okay.
utility side of things. Suburban
Okay.
would have been my other option. They came out with a big block for it that year too in 67.
2-car solution. These and an NSX. Perfect.
Pretty good. That's not bad.
Oh no, I've accidentally parked my international travel all on top of my NSX
There you
because
go.
I couldn't see it in reverse.
Totally.
That would be great, actually.
Okay, we all did the same category there. Randy, next round is you.
I don't want to lead. No. The lot is cast. You're going now. You go now. Next category.
Oh, Randy wants to go out
I
of
want
order.
to follow.
Okay.
This is like playing cards. You can't go first every time, or you're a sucker, right? You gotta feed off what the other people are saying.
All
You
right,
go.
I'll go first. I will skip to. I'm going to skip to Family Hauler because I have a little bit of fear that Randy will take this one. So I'm going to take an Olds Vista Cruiser
Okay.
as my Family Hauler.
Okay.
It's not my favorite Vista Cruiser in 67. I like the 1970 version better, which is
Does
a little-
67 get roof plexiglass?
still has
or
the roof
glass or
plexiglass
whatever
and
those
has
are
all
made out
that
of?
has all
Okay.
that great stuff.
Okay.
Wood panel. I'll take it teal or white over the wood grain. Would love to have one of these to tow. I think, as we've talked about, Randy, before, a vintage front engine dragster with a green Coleman cooler in the back with some high life and really live the 1967 race car lifestyle.
Get after it.
I
love that. All right, Zach's next after you.
All right, this
but
is-
whenever you guys are ready, I'm just buying time so I can search BAT faster to pick up my.
That's perfect.
option.
Well, shout out to our searchability because it actually is really easy to hone in on 1967 through model pages and category pages.
I'm digging it. I just found my answer. So what's your answer going to be?
Great. Yeah, put the pressure back on me. So this is Family Hauler?
Yeah, and sedan, wagon, something you can carry your family around in.
Okay, this is my Family Hauler pick.
Oh, really good one.
So good.
Yeah, 122S. There's one out front right now as we speak that's a little scruffier than this one. And
But you want a wagon.
I want a wagon for the whole fam and the dog. Ideally in green, just like this one. Lot number 114992. I just think the DS was my plan B.
Oh, good
The
one.
122S is such a perfect family car for all the safety technology it innovated at the time. You had the padded dash, big deal. Your family could, I don't know, you could hit a tree at low speed in that and everybody could walk out unscathed. So I think 122S is the move.
That's a really good one.
That's so good. And looking at that one, people should look that one
I know,
up.
this is a
Dark
nice
green with steel wheels and a little bit lowered. That's
KPZs is perfect.
oof, what a
Randy, are
car.
you just on 1967 on the website?
No, I'm searching specific things
Okay.
under 1967.
Okay. You already
But-
kind of know where you're going.
Yeah, I think I know where I'm headed. Is it me? Am I up?
Yeah, it's you,
so.
man. We vamped by giving our pick, so now it's your turn.
I love that. Did you go wagon? What did you? Yeah, you said Vista.
Vista Cruiser.
You said Volvo. We're all going wagons. This may need to be like the /wagon page, because do you guys remember when Tom Cotter listed his 428 powered 4-speed on the floor special? Yes, Country Squire wagon.
I don't know if I remember
67
that one.
Country Squire wagon. So that car was like a super bizarro build. That car brought 47 grand on BAT, and he's awesome. And that car was awesome. 428, 4 on the floor, giant Ford wood paneled wagon.
Fantastic.
I mean, beat that.
I mean, look at
right?
the rear seat setup. In
Yes.
these cars.
So the seats in the
really
rear
good.
are either side. So what is that? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 passenger. And
you're basically
all you ever
describing my
wanted.
nightmare.
oh, dude, I love it. Zach, you need
9
seven
passengers.
children. You need 7 children, Zach. So I was hanging out at the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix with buddies that were racing, and he had 7
After
children.
kid number 5, I'm forgetting names.
Totally, and that's kind of the point.
You forget it
They
with
take
fewer
care
than
of
that,
themselves.
buddy.
You just throw another log on the stack, right? On this like cordwood. Anyway, they would all fit in that car, and I love that car, and that would be my family hauler choice. Done.
That's a fantastic pick. That's a factory combo.
Let me jump in. Yes, it is, and that listing had 524 comments.
Whoa,
That was strong. This is 2020.
that's amazing.
Man, people were melting down in COVID. May of 2020, people were commenting up a storm.
They needed to get in there.
Yeah,
and
totally.
talk.
One guy left 200 comments, I bet.
They're like, I can go travel the family with masks on solo.
I'm leaving. No. I'm ditching the masks are flying out the window. Anyway, keep going.
Really good stuff. One other one that I was thinking about my backup was a 600 Mercedes, which is like a crazy car, but the big square.
Wow. Well, I wanted to go 6.9 and then 6.3, and I was like, ooh, 67. We're a little early, right?
Yeah.
What year did the 6.3 come out? 70?
I think 70 was what I was going to say.
Maybe 69. But anyway.
I wouldn't want my kids to grow up that spoiled.
The 600 is out of control, but I love them. I just wanted to mention
Come on,
that.
your kid putting up a partition on a family
you
trip.
You did a pretty small car. Would an Alfa Giulia sedan, that was another one I was thinking about. Does that count as a family hauler or is that too small? You think that?
No,
okay.
European family.
We just had 4 people in one of those. It was fine.
I saw a beautiful green one on the way here. Middle-aged lady driving it.
Really?
Yeah, with like
across San Francisco.
Yes, with like GTA style wheels on it.
Well, you can't cheat and make that your commuter.
What color was it?
Green, like a dark green color.
We sold that car, guaranteed.
It looked exactly like 5 cars that we've had on the site for sure.
Okay.
It looked kind of like the one that was in the Netherlands
at
the event. All right, Zach, we've both gone first. Why don't you pick the next category and you pick yours?
I think I'm going to go commuter next.
Oh, good.
And I like my inner city lifestyle, so I actually went with a CL77 Scrambler.
Oh, that's fairly strong.
I think moto, inner city, like you have the truck, you have the family hauler, you want an excuse to use your sports car. So why have just a Fiat 500 as your commuter when you could have a moto slicing it up in the streets, lane splitting, easy to get around town, don't have to worry about parking, sips gas. Has more horsepower than the Fiat 500.
What's the spec on those? What's the engine size and transmission? I actually saw that listing. Isn't that one? Is that live?
This one just wrapped up about a week ago. Yeah, 67. You get a 300cc parallel twin. It's around 28 horsepower.
5-speed?
4-speed.
4-speed.
I think on the CB450, you might actually get a 5th gear, but it's a commuter. You don't need all that.
Have you driven a bike like that? Ridden a bike like that before?
I haven't ridden a bike from the 60s or 70s, no.
Interesting. Great pick. All right, Randy.
What are the other categories? We're doing commuter. What remains? I need to know what cards.
Daily, like a commuter.
Commuter.
Which you don't have to do now if you don't want to, but you could. We need a sports car. We didn't go straight to sports cars, which is interesting. And then the 5th category is a wild card. It can be anything.
Commuter, Honda S800.
Oh, man.
Well, see, in my opinion, that's your sports car.
No. Sips gas.
That's your sports car, though.
Honda.
No, but sorry, I just took it, by the way. So nobody can use it as a sports car.
That's interesting because I have it on
Honda
my
files.
Interesting.
You guys need to pick something else.
Roadster or a
I'm back
Coupe.
and forth.
Yeah.
That's your commuter?
That's a commute car.
You're
it's a coupe. I'm going coupe. I'm going coupe.
Some groceries in that?
Totally. Are you kidding?
hatchback, right? On the coupe, isn't
Americans need to eat less. They need to eat fewer groceries to fit into that car and to haul in that car. You just rev that thing to like $9,000 on your way home and it sips gas. That's a perfect commuter.
Man, Randy, I like the contrast between daily driver and family hauler.
All of it's mayhem.
It's actually a little bit like your real life.
A little bit. My life is mayhem, but I don't know. I think these extremes I think are good to bounce off the guardrails here a little bit.
That's an 8. Is that the first year of the 800?
I think 67 had 800.
First year of the 800.
Let me look.
Maybe
I think I just looked 67's first year of the 800, but 66, but 67 may be the first actual
still
model.
chain drive on that, I think, which is cool.
I thought 800s get a drive shaft.
They get a drive shaft.
The 600s
I don't want a commuter with chain
through.
drive.
No chain
Zach
drive.
does. Zach chose chain drive for commuter. I'm not picking chain
Well,
drive.
the deep knowledge, the people in the S6 and 800 community actually say the chain drive is better. And it's a sealed chain drive, so it's not like it's getting exposed to the elements.
I would want
It's
the
a
solid rear end
disaster.
too.
That's marketing.
We don't have time, but I'm quite sure the early 800s are still chain drive and only the late ones are solid rear end.
Okay,
Pretty sure
that's
I'm
what
right
I'm
about
mixing
that,
up.
but I could be wrong.
I
but
defer
I'm
to
pretty
you
sure
on
I'm
that,
right.
Alex. I'm sorry for the misinformation.
No,
I'm
it's
but
all right.
I'm only giving
I'm
Randy some pushback because I'm trying to not make all my future garages only sports cars. But we'll let this one slide.
I'm sliding right in with that one. I love it.
Okay, my heart wants a Beetle, just like a 1500 Beetle, like what would actually have been a commuter in the day. But I also kind of want like a base spec Mustang or Camaro. So here's a question. Are Mustang, Camaro sports cars? Do they fit in that category or no?
Those are the do-it-all. They're do-it-all. You could, if you said, is it a sports car?
I don't think they are. I don't think they count as sports cars.
Actually, no. Like, but does it solve sports car in your life? It can, but can it win the sports car category for you? No, that's not allowed.
Okay.
That's my argument.
I agree. What do you think, Zach?
Interesting. Well, it's not what I was going to pick, but it was what I was thinking of picking for my sports car was a 67 GT350.
Oh, interesting.
With a supercharger.
I think maybe the Shelby is. So here's actually what my heart, Randy is going with his heart. So I'm going to tell right now what I want as my daily is a super base V8 67 first year Camaro with a 4-speed, like whatever the sleeper, like whatever the sleepiest V8 is, like
that's what my parents drove away from their wedding
with like a 2-barrel carb on
67 283 Power Glide.
That's exactly, except I would want to
drove it from Dallas to San Francisco.
Great. And they
drove it from Dallas to Colorado.
What was the color of them, or that pea soup color?
No, I think it was pale yellow.
Oh, great.
Maybe white, maybe pale yellow.
But just like a sleepy V8 spec manual transmission first year.
2-barrel 283.
Correct. Yes.
With a 3-speed or a 4-speed in it? Or do you want an auto?
No, 3 or 4-speed manual, whatever. I think they're a 4-speed.
Camara's a good answer. Camara's a great answer.
67, 68, I'm Firebird all day long.
Oh, interesting.
Quad lights, man. They look so good.
I think that would be so fun to drive around. If you were drive that into the office every day in San Francisco, it'd be fantastic. In 1967 or right now?
My high school English teacher drove a 67 Mustang Coupe automatic. She was an old lady. She was in her 60s, and she drove a 67 Mustang to the high school every day. The leaf springs were shot, right? It was on hubcaps, white, black interior, and she just kind of came lumbering in with her little C4 automatic, slushing through the gears, parked it, locked it. You can break into that car with a paperclip, right? She locked it every day and had the keys on her desk. I thought that was so cool.
That's just I want to know the story behind there. Or maybe she bought it new.
Annetta Garcin. She had a French last name.
Amazing.
She just rolled in a Mustang to school every day. I mean, that's crazy.
Fantastic.
I drove one out in the student lot that I thought was all hot roddy, and then my English teacher had the same car.
That's really good. What was Tom Cotter's car that you picked? I didn't write that one down. It was
Country Squire wagon,
67
Country Squire, I think it's technically a Galaxy, or maybe not, but they call it
Country Squire 428 4-speed.
Mm-hmm. Very unusual.
All right, Randy, you've got to go first again since we've both done it now. Sports car. Are you ready? Are you prepped for it?
Sports car. Oh man, it's such a great category. I mean, there's so much.
We should do a couple honorable mentions on this because there's a lot.
Is there any American sports car? Do you call it vet a sports car? If you don't call,
yes, definitely.
Dude, what 67 427?
Is that a sport? I mean, they call it America's sports car, but we're saying a Mustang's not a sports car. So
I'm saying a Mustang is.
Oh, okay.
But I was thinking, I'm like, that's not even a question.
Yeah, I guess it is. It has independent rear suspension. It counts, but it's
definitely on my short list.
But a Road Runner is not a sports car.
No, I agree with that.
Anyway, there's a lot to think about.
But if we do 71 and then if you pick a Hemi Barracuda, I would let that slide.
We still got the wild card category.
Yes.
So I mentioned that graduate thing super coincidentally, but I am saying 67 inaugural. Or no, they came out a little bit earlier, but Boattail Spider, Alfa Boattail Spider.
Oh, interesting.
That is a great car if you have not driven one of those. everybody should try to scrap their way to finding a way to drive one of those. I love that car. Had the apple green one that sold on BAT in the second week of auctions. Recently sold again for either the third or fourth time on BAT.
At least the third time, for sure.
And man, that car just really makes me happy. I like those cars a lot.
Great.
And it's sports. If you say a sports car, I mean, that's like
yes, the Graduate. There you go.
Car.
I wonder if their sales jumped in 67 after Dustin Hoffman was cruising.
Must have.
I'm sure.
Right?
That's a 1667?
1600. They put a 1750 in the 69s before they killed the boat tail in 70. So that's actually a good car too. But it had injection on it, which is lame.
Right. That's
nowadays is lame. It was cool back then, but now it's weak. So 1600 with carbs on it in 67, and maybe a color other than red, right? If you had a black one of those.
Black is good.
Or if you had that green, my green was too light. I'd like the darker green. Or if you had a blue one, but the red's great too if it was parked outside. So again, a car, if somebody pulled up in front of the office and was actually just normally driving one of those, so much respect and high five, particularly if the taillights and front end aren't all bashed up from parking in the city.
That's like a sports car on the Wikipedia page, a red Alfa.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I actually saw one of those today too. A late crappy one with big bumpers in that kind of tan color, but old crusty guy.
I love it, Randy. You don't want the 330 GTC. The Miura does nothing for you. Just give me
all that stuff's rad, but a sports car is small. A Miura's kind of small. Nah, I don't think of a V12 when I'm thinking of a sports car, right? I think of little, like giant killer.
Well, that's a nice segue to my pick.
Oh, man.
That's strong.
Toyota 2000 GT.
There you go.
Okay. My favorite and definitely top of my list. So
I thought I might be stealing that one.
Yeah, that's totally fine because I have a long list here.
I wish those were 85 grand.
I know.
You and me both.
I wish that we could actually have one of those because it is actually a 240Z. Nobody tells you the secret, but it drives exactly like a 240Z and it costs 42 times as much.
Probably can't fit in it though. That's the thing I always wonder is if I would even fit in one. They look so
I sat
tiny.
in one. I've never driven one.
Was it really tight inside?
Yeah, but it's like 240Z tight.
Yeah.
It's a 240Z. Just squint, have 3 Japanese beers, and it's the same car.
Just roll your 240Z.
I know it's got
Give it
twin
some more
cams,
curves.
so people are like, man, Z432, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which is still an eighth of the price.
Totally. You buy 8 of them or buy 2 of them and then go buy a Benz 600.
But man,
I'll
so
take the
pretty.
Toyota
To
2000.
Randy's
It is
point,
pretty.
small.
Sorry.
It's
Zach,
like
keep going.
It's like a homemade and so curvy. I mean, the lines, it's incredible.
Yeah, been a couple years since we had one, but I'm looking at lot number 76746. Gary Seal, thanks for bringing that one to us. Lambo Gas.
Put that on my list of 10 favorite auctions of all time, at least the Don Yount one, the first one that we had back in 2016.
Right. I got to finish that.
Great pick. I'm upset about that.
Speaking of a great pick, what am I showing you a photo of? What does that look like?
God, it looks like a top of a strut mount.
No.
Is it an oil pan?
That's a diff on a straight axle on a Honda S800.
Yeah, they definitely have straight axles. That's not what I'm saying. The early ones are still chain drive, I think, on the 800. Pretty sure.
What's early?
Like
this
the
is
first
67, dude.
The first,
this is the year
first
we're
couple
talking
hundred
about.
cars. I mean, there aren't that many of them.
Okay, well, I'm talking about 67s when I picked that car. And that commuter? Come on.
I remember
Zach,
that exact car.
Commuter in Wikipedia under commuter.
Look, the owner of that car, the longtime owner of that car, he bought it new and he worked
It's
for
a Honda.
He worked for some race shop. He worked for, is he a Penske guy? Somebody, there's a cool story on
There's
that
a story.
car. I remember that.
Let me
I
pull
remember
the
that
lot
one
number so
specifically.
people can check it. This was lot 2521 and it was fantastic and sold for 30
so
grand.
Good. Silver.
2016. We were all young kids.
Mm-hmm.
92 comments.
Children.
What did it sell for? 30 bucks, 30 grand.
Okay. I had Toyota 2000 GT on my sports car list.
Ooh,
I had
no doubles. You're not allowed to take it anymore.
I had C2 Corvette, big block 4-speed.
Okay.
Nice.
I had GTC 911S.
Sports car though, man. Like even in the vet, I'm like, you got to have a small block because a big old honking
I know
427 like kills sports car to me. Sports car is like windy road, tight corners, right?
Man, okay, so then that makes me
That car's a
worried.
pig.
I'm worried that the one I'm going to pick doesn't count then. Okay, this is actually what I
tell
want
me.
right now.
I think
I
it's a complicated term, but I feel like even a big block Corvette's got it. What
It
would
counts.
you call it?
It counts.
Not a.
I mean, on an open road course or like a GT road or like Skyline or whatever, I mean, it counts. I mean, man, that thing is great, right? But you try to muscle one of those, any car that you're like, oh, it better have power steering or
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it on a windy road. That's not a sports car.
But they raced them, right? I mean, they raced them.
Raced
That's
them like crazy.
And the car that I'm going to pick, I don't think they raced.
No
so
race
you guys
cred?
have to tell me if this
What's
counts
a
or not.
Volkswagen? What is
No, a Pagoda. Is a Pagoda
Okay.
a sports car?
No.
You don't think so? That's interesting. So 67
Zach,
is
I was going to breathe for 5 seconds before I said no, but Zach just went immediate no.
there's the
It's the
255.
sports car for the gentleman with a heart condition.
Correct. There's the 255 speed in 67, which
Wouldn't
is a
wanna get
rare
too
thing.
crazy.
You like the 5 speeds and they're rare, and that's in
I
67.
love
With
that.
the
Those
ZF5
cars are
speed.
beautiful. I totally get it. But
They're sportier with the 5-speed, but are they a sports car? I argue no.
that's like full-blown GT car to me.
I mean, what does S in SL stand for? Ding, ding, ding.
Sport light, right?
Sport.
I mean, okay, so my backup would be the 911S, first year 911S.
I mean, that's a prop.
That has back seat though, which the Pagoda doesn't.
No, dude, is it a sports car? Come on.
Okay.
Of course. Yes,
All right.
Yes.
Great.
That's the one that like everybody rushes to pick. I'm kind of glad none of the three of us rushed there too quick, but you got it on like second swing.
All right, if that's all you'll allow me, then I'll take it. I'm happy to have it. It was the first one I thought of. It was actually the first car I thought of in this whole exercise. Was
Okay.
first year 911S,
Okay.
but it is some basic business.
It's the first car I thought of too, and thought of you picking it.
Yes, it was actually like my fourth choice, but I still really like it.
Is Vet the only 67 sports car made in America?
Well, you guys disagree with Mustang.
I disagree with like small muscle cars being sports cars.
Dodge wasn't doing much at the time.
I mean, a Shelby is pretty
Dude, there's
sporty.
nothing. No, but it's big and chubby by that point,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the cars were getting big.
When are Cheetahs made? Are
They didn't
Cheetahs
make like a Corvair. Did they still make that in
yeah,
67?
yes.
Rear engine? Would you call that
That's
sporty?
tough.
Corvair is not a sports car.
No, but I'm grasping at straws
I
here. I
know.
mean, what did America make that was sporty? I mean,
it was the muscle car.
It was
so they're
muscle.
building big cars with
but
big motors.
911s, 67s were sweet and
They
small.
built
You had to go over there.
Cosworth engines for Lotus. That's what
There you
they
go.
did. That was sporty. Then.
There's there's good American race cars from 67. That's the Eagle Westlake Green.
Yeah,
cars, I think,
yeah.
67.
Anyway, it's interesting to
Yes.
think about that stuff, right? I
It
mean,
is.
there were starting to be BMW 2002 bodies, 1600 bodies, and there were Datsun 510. I mean, this 67 was right there.
None of us have picked a BMW. None of us even talked about a BMW
Ooh,
yet, which
but
is
there's a
interesting.
wild card category.
There sure is. Zach didn't pick a BMW motorcycle though. So how wild would you want to get with wild cards? Does it have to be something that we would theoretically list on BAT? Could it be anything?
I mean, you got to be more wild than if you picked a 911S. Now you're like,
Totally.
now I want a Targa. Like, that's not wild.
Totally.
So not anywhere near what you already picked. And it should fulfill some driving or automotive, even aesthetic dream that you have, right? Like crazy, like awesome.
Okay,
Even if it's a Pinto, it's like your thing.
correct.
That's the wild card category.
Yes, I agree. All right,
And
then
now
I'm
that
going
I say that out loud, I need to do
No,
some
no, I know
research.
exactly where I'm going then. Because the thing that popped out to me the most when I was scrolling through all the cars we've listed from 67, one of my favorite cars we've ever listed is the Porsche 910. That was part of
Ooh.
one of those things that Feminod and Cam Ingram did on our site, the Group P collections. Had a 6-cylinder, but it came with the 2.2 liter flat 8 on the stand. I mean, what
Anything
car?
with a flat 8 qualifies as
Correct.
wild card,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Mechanically injected
Wow.
2.2 liter flat 8. And having that in period, super interesting as like a gentleman, a plain white one as a gentleman racer, take it out a couple times. Right now it's a $2.5 million car, but it's just more of a race car.
Is it
back
more
then.
interesting to have in period or more interesting to have today?
I think in period. What do you think?
I don't know. I think equally interesting.
It's so expensive now. It's hard for me to be like, it's like literally not a
I mean,
tangible.
that's a
The
game
most
winning
interesting
answer.
time to have that car is like 3 years after it
Totally.
was
In
In
competitive.
1981.
And it cost no money
Right.
and nobody wanted it. And it was derelict in the back of some shop.
That's when they're ripping the flat 8 out. They're like, this is a nightmare. No one wants to
throw
rebuild
this engine away.
Correct.
So that, yeah. And now it's like prancing into Rennsport
Right.
with that car that you just bought at Gooding for $3 million or $10 million or whatever those things are, right? So it's a little different now. It's
Yep.
just a sort of cash game, but the people that were like either the factory crazies that were actually running that car and then the weirdos that like scooped it up or kept it afterwards, right? That era is when that car
For like 25 years, that
As
car
far
didn't
as I
matter
think,
very
yeah.
much.
I think that was like the sweet spot, not because it was a deal like financially, but just it was a derelict race car and you had to love it to go after it
And it's so complicated. It's why Gold
Yeah.
Wings were cheap for a long time. It's like no one wants to fix this.
because they're a pain.
Yeah.
And they weren't worth enough. What a choice.
All right, there we go. That's all 5 for me. Who's going next?
Rapid fire. Read your 5 right in a row.
Okay. For 4x4 truck, I have the Dodge Power Wagon.
Got it.
For family hauler, I have the Olds Vista Cruiser. For daily, I have a 67 Marrow base V8 manual.
Marrow, give it to me.
For sports car, I have 911S Coupe. I want to make that clear, not a Targa. 911S Coupe. And for wild card, I have the Porsche 910.
Wow. Zach, you're going wild card next.
Put me on the spot.
I need more research time. Hold on. You go.
I went pretty wild for my wild card.
Good.
I'm still going only off the site. So I went for the 67 Exemplar I Concept.
Oh, I looked at
What?
that car.
Did you not see this, Randy?
What are you saying?
Oh
It has
my
like
God.
triple gold Daytons on it.
This car
It's-
is wild.
It's like half of it is made of brass and the other half is made out of copper. It's got to be one of the heaviest vehicles to come out of the entire decade.
It's a
but-
Tornado underneath. Is that right?
It's not a Tornado, it's a Riviera.
Riviera. That's right.
Which was also a really pretty car in 67.
Riviera was on my list. Like that's a car that you could have used in a couple of categories. Here.
Yeah, I know. I love those. But man, the Italian design on top of what's already a good looking car, I think it just looks awesome. Be the biggest baller on those gold rims on
I
the
loved
block.
it. Shown where? It was a show car, right? I think it was a show car, almost positive. And I think shown somewhere. And then it's a one of one. They only made one. It's a design exercise.
I wonder why that was. 'Cause it was a mic drop moment. It was just so good.
It was too good. It was too good. That's really wild, Zach. Good
But
for
yeah,
you.
it had T-top roof. I mean, the attention to detail in this thing's insane when you just look at the interior and the engine bay with the tire up front. It's
Oh my God, it's so great.
It's ridiculous.
We're definitely going
It's
to
so
link to
over the
that
top.
so that everyone can see it if they missed it when it was on the site. Really wild car. That is wild, a wild car for the wild card. It's perfect.
I had the Matra Jet as my plan B.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a good one.
French. What were the French doing in 67?
I had
Should
s-
be
You're gonna
yeah.
have to win
I had,
Formula One in a few years.
Ooh.
I had DS19 as one of my backups. That was one of my top 3 for wild card.
Wow.
Yeah, I had that for a family car.
I know. I was like, man, can you haul your family around in something that they're going to be spending a lot of time on the side of the road in?
I mean, for me, I only have my kids on every other weekend, so
That's
it's
right.
probably fine.
That's right.
What are you talking about?
These are
People's
the theoretical-
perception of Zach is so weird because he throws out these weird one-liners thinking
So
that people
good.
will get these jokes. Wow.
All right, Randy, are you ready yet? Or do we need to talk a little more?
What's
We can
the
keep talking.
sign they do back in the day? They're like,
Stretch
stretch it out.
You guys got them. Who else do I need to cater to?
Stretch it out.
I'll throw in one more wild
I
card while
did
Randy
get the
scrolls the website. Fiat Dino Coupe was another one. That's a car that I've always liked.
Interesting.
Really like those. We've had a couple of really good ones.
That's
I've
an
always liked
interesting one.
those. And that doesn't really fit any category. It's like not a sports car, not a family hauler. Couldn't use it as a daily. I don't think. Maybe you could have in period, but it's another car that's going to spend some time on the side of the road.
Love all of that. Pagoda, you kind of stole the thunder of that one. That was a good car.
Oh,
It's
I'm
not-
sorry.
Obviously, it's not very wild.
255 speed is such a good spec. And I thought I would suck Zach in with that because he always talks about that spec on Pagodas.
I can't pick 2 Alphas. That's not
Why not?
allowed.
Oh, it's not allowed.
No, you're not. I mean, it's allowed, but it's not particularly creative. I think 1967. I'm going with one car in particular, one VIN number,
Oh,
which
interesting.
we alluded to earlier, but I would love to be on a quest to find my dad's first MGB GT.
Mm.
Green, black, white piping on the seats. Sold via the dealer in San Francisco, picked up in Europe, traveled around Europe. There's some layers to that story, but eventually got brought back. My dad sold it to somebody in Palo Alto, California in 70. And if anybody has that car or knows where that car is, I would very
Do you know
much-
what the VIN is? I thought we
I
talked
would
about that
very
before.
much like to have that car. No, I know the plate. It had a
Oh,
black
okay.
plate on it. I think it was a W plate, or I'm not sure. My dad knows. Anyway, that is the most important 67 VIN outdrive. But
That is-
I think it will never be found. That car is gone, right? I mean, there are cars out there that are just gone.
Right.
So many of them got scrapped or crashed or whatever. So, but I still hold out hope. When I find a 67 green BGT, I look every time to see if it's the one.
That's such a great pick. And it's also like a good car. You could use that as your daily. Like that could do a couple things on our list. Is that a sports car?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. For sure. The British made all kinds of sports
Yeah,
cars, right?
they sure
MG
did.
made a bunch.
Is that our only
Things
British?
that
I think that's our
qualify.
only British car.
Yeah, you guys would never pick a British car for anything. Are you
I
kidding
looked at
me?
BGTs and I thought about your dad's car while I was looking at him. I've
No.
always liked
I would die in
BGTs.
Alans for a sports car.
Yes.
That's a good pick.
Elan is a good choice. It's a good choice.
All right, Zach.
When did they stop making Super 7s? I mean the real ones, not the They haven't yet stopped making Super 7s.
Right, correct. You
But
want one right
like,
now.
when did they stop making Lotus Super 7s?
I don't know the answer to that, but they probably weren't making them in 67, were they? Can you search it, Zach? I did look at Morgans. There were Morgans in 67 in the US. That's a interesting car.
I say that's a sports car.
For sure. The sportiest. That's a guy with a tweed coat and a mustache.
Oh, here's
That's
a 67 Lotus Super 7. So that's maybe not the best one because it's kind of late in the run. But talk about sports car, like that's a sports
Pure.
car.
Yes. I'd rather have
We were at,
your dad's
again,
GT.
Pittsburgh Vintage GP over the weekend. And I'm sitting there with a guy who knows his stuff and races a lot. And there's a Super 7 mid-pack. And he's like, that guy's weak. He should be leading. He should be leading. He's like, that car is unbelievable. A twin cam in that car. And there's 2002s and all this stuff out in front of him. And he's like, that guy doesn't know how to drive because he'd be
should be in the front,
blowing the doors
Yes.
off all these people because that car weighs 0 and it has a great engine in it. And it's vintage racing. It's all these old guys and whatever,
Yes.
right? But nobody's out there or a few people are out there to win. But that guy probably was just having a great time.
Totally.
But he's like, that guy ought to be in the lead.
That's so
It was
funny.
so great. I love that remark.
The first time I ever went to a vintage race in high school, my shop teacher, Mr. Hamilton, who had worked on the Apollo program and loved old cars, he was like, I don't go to vintage races anymore because there's all these amazing cars and it's always a 914 winning.
That car was later as well. That's not 67 either. So
Nope.
that's
67 is 912 and 911. That's all you get from Porsche,
Mhm.
or unless you want a race car like I have chosen. Zach, you want to recap your list? I wrote it down if you want me to recap it.
You go ahead and recap.
Okay. Zach, for his 4x4, has an International Harvester. And what was the cab called on it?
Travelette.
Travelette. What a great name.
Nobody picked like a Travel or a real Scout 2. I mean, that's what
Scout was still Scout 800 in 67.
is
right?
it. That's why we don't pick
Yes.
it.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right.
Scout 2 will be on a later list. for me,
68
for
they
sure.
came. 69 they came. The good Scout 2. Man, is that
For Zach's family hauler, for his non-existent family that he only sees every other weekend, we have the Volvo 122S WAG. For his daily rider, a CL77 Honda Scrambler. For his sports car, this one ticks me off. Toyota 2000
Wait, a
GT.
daily? I thought we called it a commuter.
Yeah, commuter daily. Like what you're
I don't
gonna-
want an S800 for my daily,
Zach grilled you about
but
that.
it was a commuter. I thought you said commuter.
You're finally coming back
Commuter is
around.
like a concession, right? It's like this is what you like have to drive to a very monotonous life.
Correct. But
That's
why
different
not
than
drive
a
that
daily.
to an
A daily, you can drive a Superbird, or I don't know, you can be
All right,
crazy.
while I'm recounting Zach's
No,
list at the
keep
beginning of
going.
yours, you can keep
Yeah,
scrolling.
I'm standing by
on
it.
your
I
phone.
like the
Okay.
car, but I think
like
of
the
it
car
as
too.
a
we
commuter.
need
not
one
a daily.
category to keep us humble.
Okay.
So
Yes, we can add categories too. We don't have to stick to 5. And Zach, for his wild card, has the Exemplar show car based on a Riviera, which is definitely the wildest pick out of all of them. Randy,
Depressing to be.
Randy's list, which is super schizophrenic and represents why he founded Bring a Trailer. FJ55 for his 4x4, which on a different day he might say thumbs down to. For his family hauler, which is maybe my favorite of your picks, Randy, the Country Squire 428 4-speed, which is great. Honda S800 Coupe for the commuter.
I don't think I fit.
It might be
That's-
tight.
You guys would fit.
It might be tight.
That's kind of you to
I
say
think
it
you're
that way,
working
Alex.
from home a lot in 1967.
Totally. Totally.
For sports car, the classic pick, the Alfa Boat Tail Spider, and a really good wild card pick from Randy, Randy's dad's MGB GT, his specific car. Good list. You guys happy with those?
I am happy
Yeah.
with those. I think we need like lightning round. I don't know. Let's get some feedback from the audience. Audience, we'd love to hear from you. Like, we'd love to hear your 5, first of all, but second of all, what else you want to hear from the audience?
Yeah. So my hope was we'll throw this up in the post. We can ask people what their 5 cars would be in these same categories, and also tell us why our lists are horrible. And then my hope is
Which they are.
Yeah. And then my hope is also too they can tell us the stuff that we completely forgot about and that we're morons for forgetting about. Okay.
Here's another reason I'm a moron. 67, you search it on the site. There's 13 cars live, model year 1967 right now. A gigantic Ford F-250, which is awesome. A Jag Mark II.
Yep.
A Myers Manx,
Yeah,
which
Manx
is
Nice. That's a good
which
wild
I think
card.
the company existed in 67, or did it? It
No,
probably
they're definitely-
did,
there's-
right?
I was scrolling
Gidget
through
or
this,
whatever,
yeah,
and but you can title those under any
Correct.
gear pan you can find. A Healy, a DeVille convertible, which would have been a great pick. 67 Camaro RS, nice. Fiat 500, formerly mentioned. Zach's 67 Pontiac Firebird, Formula or whatever that thing is. Another Camaro, 67 Beetle, which is maybe one of the, they got a little not as pretty afterwards. 67's great.
Still
Chevy
not a super
pickup.
Beetle yet.
Another Beetle, a 455 swapped 67 Olds Vista Cruiser station wagon,
Right.
4-speed.
Yes.
Was that the inspiration for your choice?
I've always
It's got
wanted a
like
Vista.
20-inch dubs on it.
That one's not my exact cup of tea, but there was one that Wob sold. We've only had like
It's
two
a
or
good
three.
looking car. I like it. It's got kind of a 442 front end on it.
Yes.
It
Like I said, I like the 1970 Vista Cruiser better. But
anyway, it's cool that we have 13 live from that model year
Yep.
right now, and they're all over the map. But we kind of glanced off a few of these. Did you ever go with Beetle as final answer, or no? You moved on?
I should have maybe. Now I regret.
I regret it too.
Yes.
I think Beetle is
Beetle,
the answer.
It's not a super Beetle yet. It's a 1500 that year, so it gets a few upgrades, but it's not the ultimate iteration.
So
it's
great.
really good from that era. I love this. So yeah, we'll get feedback from the audience. We can add categories. We can do this around. We can stick to model years. I mean, there's some. I was trying to think of what would have been the most torturous year.
Well,
Zach,
I
are you
would
thinking
love
about
for
that?
People to chime into the comments and let us know what they think of the hardest
Yeah.
year is. Cheat or answer, but 2024 is the hardest year. in my opinion.
No, are there good cars out there?
Yeah.
Somebody's picking a
I don't like-
Cybertruck.
Oh.
Somebody's. I mean,
That's a
I
commuter,
can
Randy.
pick the
It's-
truck.
That's not a
The
truck.
truck category is a win because there are cool trucks made. Family hauler, you're going to pick another truck because everything's a
Rivian,
truck or,
yeah.
or a crossover. Sports car, sort of. Anyway,
There's some stuff.
Yep.
There's stuff. It would be interesting.
Yep.
I was thinking mid 70s Malaise era would be really hard.
no,
but
it's
No,
not.
there's-
It's great.
There's some good European cars. from
Commuter, you're
Yes,
going to
there's
pick like
good
a
European cars.
Chevette or like a
Yep.
Pacer or whatever. There's great
there. My
stuff.
8.1 liter engine in my Eldorado.
totally making 147
100, no,
horsepower.
111. So good. Love it.
Part of why I thought 67 was good, to your point, Randy, is that it's a transition period, right? Like the European stuff hasn't completely taken off. It's not super common here, but the Americans haven't switched to kind of copying the Europeans yet. The Japanese are just coming up. It's an interesting era.
When did America finally make? How many decades did it take before they made a sports
Are
car?
Is America making anything?
Yeah,
good
is there an American sports car now?
That's
It's a good question.
I mean, the
Corvette's been
C8 Corvette.
trying to carry that mantle for a long
Yep,
time,
They sure have. They sure have.
but I don't know. The Mustang 2
What a
rolls
Dodge
in.
Stealth.
Oh my gosh, totally. Which is all Mitsubishi underneath,
Yeah.
ironically.
Yep.
Come on, you guys gonna do the Ford Probe like that?
Probe.
rolls
We had a
in.
really clean probe that one of my buddies was texting me about.
Is a Fox body a sports car?
Everyone in the Fiero right now is just pounding their desks.
Oh,
in
there,
anger.
no. That is a sports
That
car.
is a sports
I'm
car.
okay with that. And yeah, build quality or not, I'm okay with that.
This was really fun, guys.
This is so
Thanks for
fun. We're
doing
going
it.
to keep talking. We're turning off the mics and keep
Yes.
debating.
We will. We will indeed. Well, thanks everyone who made it this far for listening. This was really fun for us. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it as well. Please do weigh in with feedback, advice, comments. Tell Randy why he's a moron. And we will catch you next time. You can also hit up podcast@bringatrailer.com as well as comment in the post or on social. We will see you next time.